Hey everyone, this is Rosalina.
And this is Shauna, and we're your hosts for Too Young for This Shit podcast.
This podcast is not just about boobs, but our journey with cancer. We are young millennials, open about giving you our raw and unfiltered look into our lives. We are in no way medical professionals, nor are we offering medical advice. Any medical references are cited directly from public websites or from our personal diagnosis. Some topics and stories may be triggering to those who are fighting, have fought, or have loved someone with cancer. Hey, I'm Rosalina.
I'm Shauna. We're happy to be back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about our life before breast cancer. So let's see. I mean, we want our audience to get to know us, and we also just want to remember, the good times before we dive into our cancer diagnosis in our next future episodes. I would say, like, life before breast cancer, I was living in Seattle at the time, and my happiest times was when I was around 25 to 27 years old, especially since after I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, things got better. My energy was like really great.
So you were living in Seattle at the time, broke up with your boyfriend, and what, just like putting yourself out there more?
Yeah, I was
just
putting myself out there more. I started to gain friends, and I started to find a community as well. When I was younger, I used to do dance, and so I wanted to kind of bring that back into my life. And I found a dance studio for adults where we're able to go to class every week, perform in the month of May of just like our dance routines.
Right, like a recital that you
Like
had
a
when you were
recital,
a
yeah,
kid.
right. And so it
That's
was
fun.
so much fun, right? And I was able to find that community.
And what
Yeah,
kind of dance?
it was contemporary, jazz, modern dance. Another thing that, I really loved to do was I found aerial yoga. I was like, whoa, this is so cool. I want to be in the air and do all these tricks. So I was able to find that studio, gain friendships there too, and like just go to class every week while I'm doing dance classes. So I was able to like rekindle my hobby that I used to do, but then also learn a new hobby as well. So that was definitely, the best times.
I'm super jealous of your dance career. I got kicked out of
Oh my God,
ballet
wait,
at 3, and that was the end of my any dance career I ever had. But I'm like zero coordination, like none.
Okay, you need to just explain like, why you got kicked out.
I don't know. I think I just was like chatty and just like couldn't sit still, and like they asked me not to come back. And I mean, like, yeah, growing up, I'm still at 32, like zero coordination, zero rhythm. It was like a blessing that I think
Like
that was it. That was the end of it.
You
But
knew
I've
that
always
dance
wanted to
wasn't for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, like, I literally fall down the stairs like twice a week. Like, it's like no coordination. I'm like dying to try aerial yoga, and I have like no upper body strength and no coordination. And I'm just like, this seems like a trip to the ER for me.
You definitely would gain upper body strength. Like I didn't either, but like I went to class every week, and so I was able to lift myself up. So, yeah, I think you should totally do it. It's so much fun.
Who knows? I'll basically try anything now after having breast cancer. I'm like, anything goes.
Yeah.
I would probably do some crazy things. So
yeah. But like, how about you, Shauna? What was life before breast cancer?
So I am the oldest of 4. My brothers and sisters we're all pretty back to back. I have a sister that's 15 months younger than me, a brother that's 3 years, and then my youngest brother is the furthest apart. We're 8 years apart. So growing up, I was a typical like older sister, just ran the show with my mom, kind of like a second mom. And just like a natural caregiver from like a really young age, and I started babysitting at a really, really young age. I was like 12 in
Mhm.
charge of like 2 kids under 5. I don't even know, like long days too. It was like insane. I had like a full-time job in junior
Yeah.
high. And it's crazy. And I just always babysat growing up, and then kind of turned it into a full-time career as I got older. Like I nanny full time now, and I mean professionally, like make really really good money, and have a like I have vacation days, and like on the books, and it's like
I have
legit.
a friend who does that for a living, and I had no idea that you get all these benefits
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a legit job.
just like if you work at an
Hmm.
office job. Yeah,
It
I
is.
think
The
that's
only
so
thing that's like
great.
harder is just it's like it's more personal, like taking off is harder, and like you feel guilty rather than like if I worked for a corporation and I had vacation days, I wouldn't even like feel bad about it. I wouldn't even think twice. But I've been able to make this like a career, and I love my job. I love like I've been with families really long term. Every job I've had has been long term. Every family, my first family I've ever babysat for, they're now 25 and 26. The oldest of the two, she went to college in the city and babysat for like the families that I've nannied for, like in the evenings. And it's like so funny how it's gone full circle. But like, I don't know, those relationships to me are like super important. And I like the longevity, and I like the stability, and I like the routine. And that's just like who I am. I'm better with like, I don't know.
Taking care of
I guess
other people.
yes, I like don't know
Yeah.
how to not do that. And being the oldest of 4 too, like my siblings are constantly calling me, and we're constantly chatting, constantly like fully intertwined in each other's lives. And I'm just that person that's just like always been super reliable and super like consistent and there. Even like my friends, like a very close group. I have like a few different groups. Like I have like friends from I went to a very small high school growing up. So these girls that I've been friends with since I was literally 5 are still very much in my life. I have friends that I've met from like college, and then I have friends that I've met, just from like growing up out here. But we're super tight knit, and we talk all the time, and I'm just like my phone is constantly ringing. My boyfriend is just like, turn it off. It doesn't stop, and we're just constantly busy too. Like I work 50 hours a week, and then still maintain a pretty active social life. And I have a long term boyfriend that I've been with for 7 years, and, we have a dog that yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
That's
I
awesome.
mean,
Congratulations
we've
for
had a
that.
couple
Yeah.
of breaks in between, but for the most part, it's been a long time. And, you know, we have like his group of friends that we're constantly doing things with too, and they have like great girlfriends that I've become good friends with. So I mean, I've always lived a super active, like 100 miles an hour type of life.
Yeah. And you've like also maintained like a good group of people that you've been friends with for a really long time as well. I think that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's important to me. I don't know. I just any long term relationships in general are just so important to me. It's like where I put a ton of my energy into, and I get it back. Like I really do. I have great people, especially throughout this journey, that have been just super present.
Hmm.
More present than they've ever been, and like. I don't even know. Sometimes I can think like what I've needed out of certain people, and they've just given
Right.
it like they've almost I don't know, provided things for me that I don't even know I need at this time in my life. So it's been like really great. I've had a lot of friends that have like dipped off too. They just don't know what to say to me and don't know how to deal. But like, I've maintained like really good relationships, and that's like and in so many different parts of my life too. Like I have friends I do certain things with. I like love going to concerts. I love live music. This pandemic has legitimately everything. Like I've gone like last year I did not last year 2019 was like the year of farewell tours. I saw Fleetwood Mac and Cher and Elton John, and saw Bon Iver, which was like a life changing like religious experience.
Yeah. What type of music are you into?
I mean everything, like anything from R&B. Not the biggest country music fan. There's like the hits that I like, but not. Yeah, it's like one genre that I'm like. There's certain songs that I can like you know vibe to, but not like I'm not going to like a country music concert. It's just like
Yeah,
not my
you won't
scene.
see me there.
No, I mean you might see me like in the parking lot like pre-gaming. That I would do. I honestly hear the tailgates for a country music concerts are like legit.
Yeah, I heard that too.
You might find me there. This experience this summer, I've booked a couple of concerts being like, it's on a Sunday. I have chemo on Monday. It's going to be fine. I'm going to feel like great, you know, like just trying to be like, I don't even care. I will be like dead dying, still in an arena listening to some live music at some sort of concert. I don't even care. I'm there.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go to concerts. I mean, I feel like everyone can relate, especially, you know, since the pandemic, but I love music as well. Like you mentioned, like all genres, you know, of course, except for country.
Yeah.
Sorry for
the last
who really love country, but
the last concert I saw was a week before New York City shut down. I went to see Celine Dion, which was unbelievable. She's an angel on earth. But it was in a sold out arena, like in New Jersey. And it's in
Oh, nice. You went to New Jersey.
I did. I'll go to Jersey for some concerts and some sports events. And Atlantic City. But yeah, it's like crazy to think, like I was thinking about it last week and literally teared up. Like I just missed that feeling of like the lights go down and then the lights turn back on and everyone just starts screaming. Like it's a high for me that like it's got to be the equivalent of doing like some serious hard drugs, because it's like a high that I don't get from anything else. Like I don't know. I like got so emotional. I started to tear up. My sister was like, "Are you all right?" You're like crying over a Celine Dion concert. And I'm like, I know, it was awesome. Just miss it so much.
But her voice is probably so beautiful.
She is a legit angel. Like, go. I saw her in Vegas too. I highly recommend it.
Oh, okay. So you saw her more than once.
Oh yeah, huge Celine Dion fan. I saw her in Vegas. And the night before we saw the Backstreet Boys. Again, that's like another like 90s.
I would love to see
90s
them.
music.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Highly recommend. But got like completely blackout, insane, and went to see Celine Dion the next day and was so dehydrated. My friend was like, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "I am too dehydrated to cry. Like we barely made it out that night. We barely made it to Celine Dion."
The last concert I went to, it was actually a festival. It's called Paradiso. It's only in Seattle area. Well, not actually in Seattle, but it's like 4 hours from Seattle. And it's kind of similar to if you ever went to like an EDM concert. There's just like different stages, and you know, you camp out for those like long weekends. And it was so much fun. It was actually like my first house techno EDM type of concert, and I would love to go to one again. You know, when I'm able to.
I did a lot of those in like my early 20s. A lot of like Black and White on Governor's Island and like EDC, like the beginning of EDC, and I mean, just so many different festivals. Now it's funny, I'm like anxious in crowds. So I haven't been to a festival in like a while just because it's just overwhelming to me. And if I do go, you know, like Governor's Ball is like super close to my apartment in New York, and I'll go for like literally one band or one, you know, and I'll go and just knowing the time they play and go for that. But I wish I could be that person that does like the all day festivals or like the weekend camping, and like it would just be like too overwhelming for me.
Since the pandemic, like I get more anxious in crowds. I hope that you know, goes away, because I would love to just be in the crowd.
After basically a year and a half now of missing out on like things that everything. I mean, you missed out on everything. Like things that you like to do, things you dislike to do. Like we missed out, and maybe I'll be more like gun ho about like, I don't know. You might see me like crowd surfing at the next festival.
I
don't know.
To see that.
Anything can happen. I know. Anything can happen. But yeah, I mean, that's huge, and like part of who I am is like going to concerts and going to shows, and you know, that's something that I love to do before the world shut down and before my cancer diagnosis, and hoping to get back into more of that. But yeah, it's been a really interesting time of fully only worrying about myself when I literally get paid to care for other people. And and have done
Mhm.
that with my siblings and have done that like with my friends over the years, and like
Yeah.
legitimately am having an identity crisis of like
I am
having to
too.
learn how to fully only worry about myself right now.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy because especially during the pandemic when everything kind of like started to shut down in March and April of 2020. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I get to work from home and I get to do all these happy hours with my cousins and friends. And so, like, every Friday, I would like go to a grocery store, buy wine or beer, whatever it is, and just drink.
Hmm.
And then like that got old super quick.
Yeah, I also realized, I don't know if you feel the same, but like I am worse in the privacy of my own home than I am at any bar in New York City. I have like I
Yes.
have no self control, and it did get old fast. It did. Like I thought, I was like, why not? It's gonna be a great 2 weeks of being at home. I thought it was legitimately only gonna be 2 weeks, and like everyone, I think would have loved a 2 week break of
Right.
just being able to stay home and catch up on whatever is they wanted to do.
Yeah, I think everyone can agree that like, taking that break was needed for a lot of people, especially, when you didn't have a break before.
Hmm.
Then I started to take care of my health. So, I started to take care of my health physically. I did this like diet program called RP, and it's basically just an app where you just log in your like what you're eating like throughout the day, and then you weigh yourself 2 times per week. And it basically would calculate like how much you're losing, and kind of tracks like every week until you end your diet, so you can go for a diet for like 6 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever, depending on how much you want to lose. And so I did that program and I was able to lose 8 pounds. And so I was really excited, and I was really, um, I don't know, I think the pandemic was really good to me in the sense that like I was able to focus on my health physically, and I also got a therapist as well during that time, so I was able to take care of myself mentally. But what really blindsided me is like in 2021 when I was taking care of myself is when I found out I had cancer. And so that was very shocking to me because I thought I was doing so well taking care of myself, but there was just something else
I
that was
mean,
missing.
yeah, I feel like my body went into shock after like when the pandemic hit. Like complete shock. I went from nannying for 3 kids, clocking like 8 miles a day, running around New York City like a crazy person. And then I went from that to Matt and I quarantined in my 1 bedroom apartment in Queens. So we were home, and New York City got hit with COVID like so hard and so fast that like there was a major fear of even like going grocery shopping. So
Yeah.
I went from being this like super active all over New York City person to like couch bound literally. And like I started to gain, not like I didn't gain a ton of weight, but like I wasn't maintaining any, like, it was like easier to put weight on than it was to lose it because I wasn't as active as I normally was.
Yeah.
At the time, I'm with a different family than I was nannying in the beginning of the pandemic. But I was watching 3 kids, and their family was like super scared about COVID. So I didn't work. It was great. I got paid to basically stay at home. So for months I did that. I did it up until like August, basically. We started off in Queens and then eventually started quarantining out on Long Island, where we're both originally from. And every day I got to go to the beach. I was like getting basically paid to like live this like super leisurely, relaxed life. And I almost didn't recognize myself again because I was like, I'm 1,000 miles an hour at all times. And it was like a totally different way of living life than I was before. I don't know if you feel the same.
I could relate to that because before the pandemic, I was always on the go. Like I was barely home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was always like, maybe like going to like classes or I would meet up with friends, or I would just go to events to meet people. Like I met one of my good friends actually at an event. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just love, going to a place or an event or whatever it is and just like meeting people.
Yeah.
That was my thing. Even though I would say like I'm kind of like an introvert in a way, but I think I think I need to give myself a little bit more credit that I can be an extrovert because I just like being around people, but I also like, being by myself. I was never like a homebody, never.
Right.
And
Yeah.
since the pandemic, like I had to be.
I feel you. Like I didn't know how to let myself relax. And then even in the times where I was able to relax, I felt guilty for not doing something productive. And that was like, I think my biggest problem is like never letting myself to like allow myself to rest or like just chill out. And then like FOMO is like such a real thing of like, you don't want to miss anything. Like you want to be like doing things and being busy and active and like, so I think that was like a huge thing of like having to also learn like let yourself chill out. You don't have to attend everything. Like you don't have to be in all these different places at one time or like feeling like you're missing out on anything. Like it's okay to like chill out. It's okay to rest. And then I almost like I felt like I was almost too relaxed. And then having all for that free time to be able to like, oh, I could do this if I want, or I really don't have to because it's COVID. And different like it was like a really weird adjustment period, I think. And I'm also somebody I could chat with anybody. Literally every Uber ever experience, I leave and I know their entire life story. It's the worst. It's the worst. Like everyone makes fun of me. It's like I left an Uber once crying. The woman's like daughter had passed away from brain cancer and literally came out of the Uber sobbing. And I was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, I was at happy hour, so he just thought I was like being drunk and crazy, and I wasn't. I was like, this poor woman, and he's just like, you gotta just chill. Can you ever go in a car and not have to talk to somebody? So I can chat with anybody, but I'm also the oldest of four, and alone time for me is so crucial. My boyfriend was living in Detroit for a few years, and I was living alone, and then got a dog, and like then all of a sudden we were both quarantining together, and there was like zero alone time, and I realized like how important that is for like my mental sanity, like having just like some time alone. And like I also realized how much I enjoy doing things alone.
That's good.
Certain things.
That's good.
Like yeah, like I mean even like anything from like picking what we're watching on Netflix sometimes causes like this huge blowout, and I'm just like I would just watch whatever I want to watch. Like you weren't here, or like I love like grocery shopping or shopping in general alone. Like I'm better doing that.
Oh, me too.
Better doing it myself.
I love going alone. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah, because also another thing too is like when I go shopping, like I want to leave when I want to leave. I don't want to go to a store. Like I don't want to have to go to an extra store with you. And if you have to like stop to use the bathroom, I immediately hate you.
Oh shit.
Immediately. I'm like, it is so annoying when I have to stop and like, cause you have to go to the bathroom. It's like, I can't. I'm just like, wait, I'm better. Let me go by myself.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. I just love going by myself because, like I feel bad if someone had to like wait for me because I'm in line to like buy something that I really want. So that's why I kind of want to go alone. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like I didn't know how to relax either. And I would feel guilty too, like if I was just sitting on my couch not doing anything. I lived in like a studio apartment by myself. So just having that like whole place by myself was great, but like I didn't have a separate like bedroom or living room. Like my bedroom was a living room. And so I had a TV in that space, and I hated that like the only thing I was doing was just sitting on the couch watching TV. That wasn't my life before. Like I mentioned, I was really never home. So like TV wasn't like a priority for me, and then now because I'm home, like I don't know what else to do, and so I just watch TV.
Right.
Yeah, and like I guess like kind of talking about, that you were the oldest. I'm actually the opposite. So I'm the youngest and I'm the only girl. And so I have two older brothers that, could be a pain in the ass. sometimes, and especially super protective as well. I don't know if your brothers are
I have two
protective over
brothers.
you.
I know
Okay,
what that's
yeah.
like.
And so I'm also Latina as well. So I grew up in Hispanic households. You know, my parents were pretty strict. My brothers acted like a second and third father to me. It was so insane, and it was a lot. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why I, like, after college, I just moved far away.
Yeah.
I moved across the country, just so I can like
That was your rebellion.
live my life. Yeah,
Your
I was
rebellion
super
stage.
rebellious. Yeah, super
Mm-hmm.
rebellious. Wanted to like just live my life how I wanted to live, and
Yeah.
um, no regrets.
And you're doing it. You're doing
Yeah,
it, which is
yeah,
amazing.
super proud. I would say that that was like, even though that was this very scary time, I'm super proud that I like pushed myself, because I was able to learn more about who I was, who I wanted to be, and especially trying to be financially independent was important to me as well, because I didn't want my parents to, not necessarily that they like controlled me with their financial state, but I just felt like, um you know, if I didn't have my own money and I had to ask my parents for money, then that's the way that they can control me, in the sense of like, you know, I need to stay home because like I'm giving you what you
Absolutely.
need, and I didn't want that anymore.
Right. I also think too, like having your own money too is also, and not needing them also too, in a weird way, that's like your sense of being able to control your own life.
You know, within those 5 years I lived in Seattle, like I did suffer. I like hated my jobs. I didn't find like my purpose yet until, you know, I got unemployed. Um, and then I had to like rediscover myself. So I actually learned how to do like digital marketing, more specifically in the social media realm. And so I taught myself, and then I was a consultant for this small startup company. And so within those 3 months, I like learned a lot. And I basically convinced them that I was able to do the work, even though at that time I was learning to do the work. But that actually got me into a position at an advertising agency. And then that's how I kind of grown from there and started to realize that was my passion. And then I was recruited by a hiring manager into this other advertising agency in Seattle. And I felt like I made it. The office
Right.
was in downtown Seattle. My commute would just be 20 minutes instead of like an hour. And really felt like I made it. And that's why I said that during the years of 25 to 27, like that was like my happiest, because I was rediscovering myself and I was able to do things, you know, what I wanted to do at that time.
It's so, and like your 20s are so for that.
Yeah.
Like I'm 32 now. I feel like I'm 80, but I am 32. And but like that's 25 and 26 were like great years for me too. 25 is when I moved to New York City. I grew up in a small town and moved, and like it was, it's like, even though it was so close, like, you know, an hour and a half to 2 hours away. It's
Yeah.
not like I moved across the country like you, but it's like a fresh
It is.
start. And
Yep.
it was great too. I mean, I had a lot of friends from home that lived in the same neighborhood as I did, so like there was still a sense of home when I wanted to. But it was nice. It's nice to like go to a different place and kind of like reinvent yourself and go through jobs and kind of find yourself, you know, find what makes you happy. And um that's what your 20s are for.
Totally. And so at 26, like that's like my golden year, because my birthday is actually January 26th. That year, like I just went all out.
That was my 25th year
Okay,
for sure.
cool, cool. Yeah,
Yeah, 25 was like the year I
yeah,
didn't lose my mind, but I did in a good way. I was open to, it was also too, before I moved to New York City, I was living with my grandmother, taking care of my grandma. And again, it was kind of like I moved to New York and it was like, again, only having to kind of really take care of myself, even though I was working and, still a caregiver. Like I was living on my own and not having to care for somebody in my own home.
Yeah.
And, but it was like, I lost my mind in like such a good way,
Yeah.
putting myself out there, doing all these things. I was dating Matt at the time, like newly, and just like a lot, you're experiencing so many firsts, which is, like super exciting. You're just busy and happy and it's
Yeah.
good.
Like you're living life.
Absolutely. And like
Yeah.
on your
Yeah.
terms, which is like there's
Yes.
no parents or like no nothing holding you back. So you're able to like make these mistakes. Some are good, some are bad, but like you're able to like learn yourself and like being on your own 2 feet and just really going through it, like experiencing
Yeah,
it.
I think experiencing your first whatever, like, I experienced my first apartment by myself. I moved across country by myself. It's just like all these like different
Mm-hmm.
experiences. I think you like learn to know who you are and know like what you like and what you don't like what you mentioned is really special. And I I definitely loved who I was before, and I want to keep that going. And it's pretty hard, I would
Yeah,
say, to do that, especially when you are quote unquote sick.
I agree with that. I mean, who I was at 25 and who I am at 32 is night and day. Like I'm at the point now where like I don't have the FOMO really anymore. Like I don't feel like I'm constantly missing out on things. I mean, I do a little bit just because of like I said, like pandemic and now with being sick, like we don't really get to join the real world again, as everything's opening up because we're
Yeah.
immune compromised right now from chemo and still have to be super careful and cautious, even though like
Mm-hmm.
I mean I'm still going to restaurants and like
Yep.
still like I'm still trying to
Same.
grab a sense of normalcy again, but still have to be super cautious. I mean, like I go through wet
Mm-hmm.
wipes, like it's nobody's business. I'm constantly washing my hands and constantly fearful of getting
Mm-hmm.
sick or whatever. But you know, I don't fear the missing out anymore. And I don't know. I think too, from the time I was 25 to now 32, self care is very more present than it was then. I think it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but
Yeah.
I mean, 7 years is a long time, and I don't remember like allowing myself to rest, allowing myself to like chill and like process things, and just like now I allow myself to do that, take care of myself more. Like you said, you've now the last year or so have like really have taken control of like your health, of
Mm-hmm.
like using all natural stuff, eating healthier, and then now I mean obviously
Mm-hmm.
we're sick, we're dealing with other health concerns. It's I don't know, I think
Yeah.
I think in your early 20s I don't think like we think about self-care like we do now as we're getting older.
No, not at all. Yeah. And that definitely is crazy to think that, like, in our early 20s we didn't care what we put in our bodies. We didn't care about like what we put on our face or and stuff like that. And now, since I'm in my late 20s and you're in your early 30s, like, now is the time that we actually think about those things.
Right. And also almost too like less is more. Like I remember the makeup and cosmetics and like thinking every vitamin and everything is just gonna make my skin amazing. And now I'm like, Cetaphil's fine. Like the
Yep.
most natural, whatever, like minor, gentle, whatever is like that is enough. Like I don't need to go crazy and buy like all these serums and acids and all this crazy stuff. Like it's like, you know, the basics are fine.
Yep, exactly. And um I'm starting to appreciate like little things here and there, like, waking up early and making myself breakfast, because now I realize that that is a time where I actually enjoy being at the table and eating my breakfast alone and looking out the window. It's just like my time, to relax, and also my time to just be in tune with myself. And so before that wasn't my priority at all. When I was at that agency in Seattle, I would wake up super late and I would just be in a rush always. I would wake up around like, 8:30 and then I had to be in the office at 9. And so I would like quickly change and just like hop on the bus and just go and wouldn't even eat breakfast. And so now it's important to me to like wake up early and eat breakfast because we need to
Mhm.
take care of our bodies. And I realize that.
I am like not a breakfast person. I think majority of it is that I just don't like breakfast foods. I don't eat eggs. I don't like pancakes. I don't like French toast. I mean, I eat pancakes like twice a year, and it's like I got to be in
Yeah.
a real
Yeah,
special mood
same.
to eat them. Like, and but I'm the same thing. I mean, I was on the train, on the subway at 7 a.m. to go to work. When things were normal, and by the time I did school drop-offs and then pickups from preschool, it's 11:45, and I still have not eaten anything, and the only thing I've had is like 4 cups of coffee.
Right.
And like that's what I mean. Probably should have had like an IV of coffee. Like that's what like
Yeah.
got me to run 8 miles a day in New York City. But um, you know, yeah, it is super important to just. But even the morning too, like just sitting down. Matt is like a huge breakfast person. He would eat eggs for every meal a day, and like he wakes up and the first thing he does is like makes this like massive breakfast, and I could like never understand it. Like now I'm like okay with like I have like Rice Krispies is like my
Yeah,
jam. Like
yeah.
that would be like that's like as breakfasty as it gets for me, and I'm okay with it. But like we sit down in
Right.
the morning and we'll do that together,
Yes.
or But that morning time is great. Like I'm up early every day too. I think my body's just like set for that now, and it's also too. It's nice like to
Mhm.
not feel run down like from running all over the place or going out and like waking up hungover, and especially now and I'm 32 and a hangover lasts about 2.5 days where you're just like full on miserable. And like, I'm kind of not that I'm like a big drinker, but like I am social. I go out and like have cocktails and go to nice dinners and things like that. But, it's kind of like taking that out of the mix too has been different, like the energy that I have in the morning and like the things that I want to do now. I adopted a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel when I was 30, and that was the best thing that chilled me out. Like I wanted to be home with him, and he's like super anxious and neurotic, just like me, and we like feed off each other's anxiety. So like I was scared to leave him home alone, and still am to this day. Like we have to get him a sibling, like because
You
he's
guys
just
need to
anxious.
follow him on Instagram because he's the cutest little thing.
Yes, at Phoenix the Calf King. He is hilarious. It's the best decision I ever made, but it like calmed me down and kept me home, and like I needed that. I like fully that's the best thing I could have done for myself, like truly.
During the pandemic, I didn't know when things were going to change, meaning when I needed to go back to the office. It was still unknown. But then when I realized that this is going to be, taking a little bit longer, then I decided to have a puppy because I wanted to be there for my pup throughout like every day, and not leaving him home and not seeing him grow up. My dog Louie is the sweetest little thing. He's about 7 months now and he has so much puppy energy. Could be completely wild sometimes, but he's been a godsend that just provides so much support and love.
The dog thing is I don't know, like especially now too going through treatments, he's just like right by my side, and like it's seriously the best feeling. And but being there for like I got Phoenix when he was 4 months. He's now 2.5, but he thank God didn't chew on anything. But I was so anxious to like leave him, and like the breed in general. My family has them. Um, they have like crazy separation anxiety, and then add my anxiety on top of that. Of just it's like I just couldn't leave him home. So he went to doggy daycare when I was at work, and he's like never home, like he's rarely home alone. He was home alone today actually no, he came with me. He wasn't even home alone today. The other day we went out and he was home for a couple hours, and like he would not leave me alone when I got home. Like he was like on top of me, licking me. He was just like we left him alone for like an hour and a half. It wasn't even anything like crazy, and he just like can't handle it.
I can relate to that. I live with my current boyfriend, Brian, and my puppy loves Brian. Like, he definitely loves me more. So, whenever I leave, he would whimper, he would cry. Even if I leave for like 10 minutes, he is just so ecstatic and happy and like wagging his little butt, even though
They
he doesn't have a tail, but like
can't control themselves. It's like, yeah, Phoenix like will jump on the couch and watch us pull out of the driveway when we're on Long Island, and Matt thinks it's the cutest thing. And I'm like, we are terrible parents. Look how sad he is. We're leaving him. It's like, we're awful people. And Matt's like, it's fine. Like, you need to stop. Like, you're the reason he's like this. and it's so true. It's bad. But it's so heartbreaking. Every time we pull out of the driveway, you just see him looking out the
you
window.
need to take a
I
picture
can't
next
handle
time
it.
because I would
Yeah.
love to see that.
I have pictures. I'll put it on Instagram. I have pictures. It kills me. It's so, he's so cute and it's so sad at the same time. We went to, yesterday, look, my friend breeds Cavaliers and Cavy Poos.
Mhm.
So she had a litter of Cavaliers, I think, a few weeks ago. So we went yesterday. I was like, we need one. We need one. And Matt's like, no, we don't. You have enough going on. We have to eventually find a new apartment because after COVID, like after quarantine, our apartment's just too small for the three of us. And
But Phoenix needs a brother or a sister.
yeah. And then Matt's like, he's never going to forgive you. And I'm like, stop. He's going to be like, at least then I can feel better when we leave and he has somebody.
Right. Exactly.
Like, and I'm like, everything is chaotic. Like, let's just add to the chaos. Like,
Right.
what's
what else
let's
could be worse?
bring it, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I'm like, I literally pulled the cancer card. I'm like, we need another one.
Yeah.
No.
I think
I pulled it.
I think it's important to allow yourself to let people know that you have cancer, especially when you're on the phone with your health insurance or when like you're having an appointment. You just need to pull it out. Sometimes you're like, listen, I have cancer and I need this appointment. I think it's fine to pull like the cancer card sometimes.
Oh yeah. It's funny. I feel like I have a few. Like I haven't pulled it nearly enough.
Yeah,
I
me
feel
either.
like I could
Yeah.
use that just to get out of it. Like it's like my get out of jail free card for anything at this point. But I haven't really used it. But I have friends that have used it. Like I have a friend that's called me and is like, don't come visit me at work. I told them I had to come meet you. I'm like, well, where are you going? It's like, oh, I'm gonna go meet so and so for lunch. I was like, okay. I was like, you want to hang out after? She's like, I can't. I got to go back to work. And I'm like, I can't. I don't need you
right.
longer. Like I don't understand. But you know, I feel like I think too. It's like definitely important to have I have a weird sense of humor about my diagnosis. Like
Yeah,
kind of dark and like
me
kind
too.
of,
Yeah.
like you need to like especially this like I made a couple of jokes and my sister has like dead on like looked at me and been like, I'm not ready to joke about this, and I'm like, all right, like I get it,
Yeah.
like you're not, but I need to talk about this. I need it to be funny.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I agree because that's just the way that we cope with our sanity. Um like just to
Yeah,
laugh at, our diagnosis because it's already hard on us. Like, you know, we need something to just laugh about.
100%. Yeah, and like my hairdresser, who's my very good friend Kathy, she texted me and she's like, "This is the first. Last weekend was Memorial Day weekend. She's like, this is the first Memorial Day weekend in years that I'm off. I don't have a wedding booked." She does hair and does like weddings
Yeah.
and for me too. Like this is I think last year was really the first, but I think we were supposed to have I haven't been at a wedding on Memorial Day weekend. And she's like, "It's my first Memorial Day weekend off in years, and you have to go and get cancer." And I'm like, I thought it was so funny. I'm like, I know, it's ridiculous. But like, it's like I have friends that like can super joke around about it. And then like I have my sister and like my dad who like there's not even I can't even slightly joke. Like they're just not okay with it.
Yeah, same. My mom is pretty like emotional person and I can't joke with her around
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah.
Um
And I
yeah.
respect it. Not everyone can have a sense of humor, and especially I think parents are hard. I don't have a
Mhm.
relationship with my mom, but my dad has taken it very, very hard, and I'm just a super independent person. I'm normally taking care of everyone else. And he wants to help me. And I've just kind of got it covered, like my NYU has made it really easy. They've made all my appointments. They've contacted my insurance. Like everything is kind of covered. I feel like I just keep giving him like almost like little jobs to like kind of like let him help me, and
yeah, for him to feel like he's
yeah, he
helping
just
you.
wants to help
Yeah.
me. And my stepmom has even been like, let him do something for you, please, because he just feels so helpless. And it's like, okay, like I'll give you a random project, but they're not there, and we're their kids, and it's just not. And I respect it totally. Like I totally understand not being okay with having this be funny, because it's not
Yeah.
funny. I mean, realistically, what we're
Yeah.
going through is terrible, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's really not funny. But I think that if I didn't have even the slightest bit of sense of humor, this whole situation for me would be 10
Yeah,
times
I
harder.
think I would be way more depressed for sure. If didn't have something to like laugh about. Which is like something else that, we wanted to like let you guys know is that sometimes we are
Yeah,
gonna joke around a bit just because that's just the way that we cope with our diagnosis. And so hopefully no one takes offense to what we say. Because I
yeah.
feel like this is what we mentioned before, this is already hard on us.
No, I kind of just hope you got a little bit of a sense of like who we are as people and who we were before the pandemic, and who we were growing up, and who we are kind of like before cancer kind of took hold. Because like after I think this experience, like we're never going to be the people we were before.
No, unfortunately not. And, I'm still grieving a little bit of who I was before because, I'm trying to like get that person back, but I think it's gonna take a long time, even get like that person back, or just like realizing that I'm never going to be that person. And so I just need to move on.
Definitely. I feel like I've grieved a lot too. I think what I'm grieving the most is the fact that I'll never be this carefree person again. And
Yes.
cancer is just going to forever be in the background. Is it coming back? Is my meds, like you're just constantly going to be thinking about scans and reoccurrence. And then also too, we're going to have to take hormone therapy after this is over,
Yeah.
constantly having to deal with that. There's never going to be a day where it's not relevant. And
Yep.
that is the part that I'm grieving the most, is just not like I'm just never going to be this person that will never think about this again.
100%. And yeah, I'm the same way too. Like, I really miss my old self where I was just carefree and I didn't really necessarily had to worry so much about my health because every time I just go to the doctor, they say that I'm like healthy. And that is the thing that kills me the most is that this cancer diagnosis just hit me all of a sudden. And now I'm not considered healthy anymore because, I have to worry about what if it comes back and taking all these meds. And so, yeah, it's going to take a long time.
Right. And that word healthy is like weirdly triggering, not triggering, but it annoyed me because I remember going to appointments with my breast surgeon and then meeting the oncologist and then them telling me, you're going to handle this, you're going to bounce back from this because you're young and
Yeah.
healthy. And I kept being like, am I healthy? Like I have cancer at 32 years old. Am I healthy? Am I considered healthy? And it almost like pissed me off in a weird way because I just like, you keep telling me I'm
Yeah.
healthy, but here I am in your office dealing with cancer, with breast cancer, that like women our age don't experience this early. A lot of women our age don't experience this early. And I don't know, that was a really hard word for me during this.
I would say I was very confused. My physician would say I was healthy, and then I came
Yeah.
knowing that I have this cancer. And then, even then, my oncologist would tell me, like, I'm a young, healthy person. And what you said, Shauna, it's so confusing. What does that word actually mean then?
Right. Like I'm like so much more conscious of what goes in now. And I think that is like such a benefit of this journey. Like there has been a lot of positives, I guess. Like, just who I spend my time with now is so important. Where I put my energy is so important.
Yeah, I agree. It hasn't been all bad. What you mentioned, now I'm more aware of what I put in my body, even though I'm such like a sweet tooth and love candy, but I'm just trying to be more aware that maybe that is not something that I need to put in my body anymore.
I feel like we're also going through chemo, and if you want to have that candy bar, go for it. Like, treat yourself. Like, our bodies are going through so
I
much
have
right
no
now.
self-control.
Treat yourself. I don't know. I wish, I mean, I'm like, nothing tastes good and I'm living on watermelon and Excedrin and that's it. Like, I part of me is like grateful that I'm not eating crap, but the other part of me is like, it's okay to have a popsicle if I want to have a popsicle, or a pint of ice cream, or a candy bar, or an edible, or whatever. It's okay.
You know what you mentioned about putting our energy into where it's needed. I think that's super important and something that I'm like actually learning, because like now that I live in a new city in Los Angeles, I told myself I don't need to feel pressure into like trying to fit the LA lifestyle. You need to consider who you want to be and who you are, and knowing that all these different people who are living different lifestyles as you may not fit, who you want to be. So I think I'm pretty grateful in this sense. I'm actually learning that throughout this journey as well.
Yeah. I don't know if it's I agree with you. I don't know if that's like an East Coast West Coast thing, because I don't feel like that living in New York.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like nobody's trying to live any type of lifestyle. Everyone is just like doing their own thing. And that's the one thing I love about New York. Like,
Right.
nobody gives a fuck what you're doing. Nobody cares. Nobody's trying to keep up. I mean, I'm sure that there's certain people
Yes.
that are like, like socialites that are trying to keep up with each other, but like, the one thing I love about New York is like, nobody gives a fuck. And sometimes it's great
Yes.
to not feel like I have to keep up with anything.
If I didn't live so close, I would have lived in New York. I just felt like it was super close to where I lived before.
Oh, definitely. You wanted a fresh start and an escape. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I needed to move across country, but yeah, I agree. Like, people in New York don't give a fuck, but in the West Coast, it's a bit different for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like also too, it's like, I feel like it's good to also like want to care about or like want to be something, and like have goals, and like have like achieve this different type of lifestyle, especially when you
Mm-hmm.
grow up on the other coast that doesn't give a fuck. I think that that's like, it's admirable to
Mm-hmm.
want to like fully immerse yourself into like your new start.
I like how
You know,
you worded that. That's really cool to think about. Yeah.
right? It's not. I definitely don't think it's like a weakness to want to be like so LA. Like, no, it's like, you're like, you are in a new city, of
Mm-hmm.
course. Like, you want to try to kind of like reap the benefits of your environment. I totally get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see how
Yeah.
things go, but yeah, I think that's just our episode, and we hope you guys enjoyed it.
And got a better sense of like who we are as people, because this like diagnosis doesn't define who we are.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And we were people before this, and we'll be different people after this, but it's not going to consume us, and that's so important, I think, in this journey.
Yeah. I think for any of you guys out there that are listening, we are all going through this together. If you're going through this as well, and just know that, like, even though we've never met you guys, we are here for you too. What we said before in our intro is that, like, this could be really isolating, um and you feel the sense of like loneliness, and we don't want you to feel that way when you listen to our podcast.
And again, we met on a young survivors support group. I have met women on Instagram that are going through the same thing. Like, you know, you don't have to do it alone. You can find a sense of community with us, or really with any way that you feel comfortable, because it's nice to have somebody on your level that's experiencing the same thing. You don't have to do it alone.
Thank you all for listening to our podcast. Sharing our stories with you has been incredibly healing for both of us, and we hope it helps other women in their journeys through breast cancer.
Ladies, if you enjoy this episode, please share it with your friends. Help us reach more women by subscribing and rating us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also follow us on Instagram at TYFTS Podcast, and our email is tyftspodcast@gmail.com. We will link any resources from the episode in our show notes.